Hello, my name is Ilona. In this video, I'd like to talk about the wasp sting. And I also wanted to take a look at What resonates with me is what Gene Decode said about the wasp stings, and that there are two bloodlines, the satanic elite bloodline and there is the humanity bloodline. They've mixed, so you don't know if you have dark DNA or if you have a lot of humanity DNA. I believe that if you have a connection with your soul and connection with your heart, most likely you have a humanity DNA, more humanity DNA, because only humanity DNA is capable of connecting with God. Satanic DNA is not capable of doing that. So there are like three wasp stings, at least that's how I see it. First is the black hat wasp sting that's designed to destroy the humanity DNA, so you do not have a connection to your soul or to God anymore. They really want to destroy that. Then you have the white hat wasp sting. They've altered it, so instead of destroying the humanity DNA, it destroys the dark DNA. So if you have more humanity DNA, you will be fine. You will make it through. And then I've noticed that around the world people were injected with saline. So that probably is not going to do anything. I've seen articles from Canada, from France, from Germany. So that's interesting. So I'm sure there are some people who got a placebo. And what I want to take a look at, someone asked me a question. This person had one wasp sting and started to wake up. So this person regrets taking it and wanted to know if things can be done after you regret taking it, and if it's also possible after you've taken 2 wasp stings, if you can still restore it, if you can still do something about it. I'm just going to take a look at that. First of all, I think it depends on what you got as a wasp sting. If you got a placebo, most likely you will be fine. If you got the black hat wasp sting, there's a possibility that probably it's not much to return from that. If it's been destroyed, if you cannot connect with your consciousness, you cannot raise your energy, you cannot raise your frequency. So I do believe if you've gotten the black hat wasp sting, and I cannot tell, of course, it's very difficult to tell now which is a black hat wasp sting and which is a white hat wasp sting. I think it will completely depend on the outcome later on with that person. But if you've got a black hat wasp sting and you still manage to connect with your consciousness, at least that's how I see it, you can still raise your frequency. So I believe that the key is raising your frequency and being in touch with God. That will save you in a way. But I'm just going to see what the cards will say about that. So this is the first card on top. That's the 6 of Swords. This is the central card. That's the 8 of Pentacles. This is the card in the past. That's the 3 of Cups. This is the card underneath, that's the 7 of Wands. And this is the High Priestess. This is the future. So it tells me that things can be done for certain people. Like I said, some people will be in a better position than other people. So it has to do probably with what you got and how much you're still connected to your soul. Because that's really is the issue here. It's about the connection with your intuition. That is the way how you raise your vibration. So if you're still in connection with your intuition, if you can still feel that connection, then whether you had 1 wasp sting or 2 wasp stings, and whether you had the black hat wasp sting, the white hat wasp sting, or the placebo, in case you, well, it depends on if you're in connection with your intuition or not, but I believe that will be the key. The key is the connection to your consciousness. That's how, if you manage to raise your consciousness, you will be able to get through. It's about that connection with God. That is the most important part. So even if you had the wasp stings, you regret it, you can still get through it. You can still go through a different, this is like going on a journey, like a new way of living, so you can leave behind what happened with wasp sting. It will take a lot of work. Raising your vibration with or without a wasp sting takes work. So it will take a lot of work, and it's possible if you had the black hat wasp sting, it will be more difficult to reach your connection with God, reach your consciousness, your connection with your soul. But if you do, that will be the key. So that's the most important part. If you can still connect with your intuition, still connect with your consciousness, you can still raise your vibrations. And I believe that will be the key to getting out of this. So I also wanted to, some things that can support you. I've also talked about pine needle tea to support you if you've had, or if you don't have the wasp sting, but you're around a lot of people that took the wasp sting, it can help you just in case. And you can also, personally, I'm taking right now an essential oil that's also called Scots pine. It's easier than drinking pine tea all day. So I just take a little drop and then I take it in. And that's pretty much it actually. And I also take acetylcysteine. If I'm not correct, that's supposed to be the way to pronounce it. Sorry about that. Acetylcysteine. It's also known as N-acetylcysteine. That helps out with the antioxidant glutathione. I hope I pronounced it correctly as well. So that's also a way of supporting your immune system if you have gotten the wasp stings or not. It can also support your immune system just to be stronger. And but the most important part to support yourself, if you've gotten the wasp stings or not, raise your vibration. That is the most important part. Connect with your consciousness, connect with your soul. I keep repeating that, but that is the most important part. This is a spiritual war, so we have to fight spiritually in a way. We have to raise our energies, our frequency. And that way we won't be interesting for them anymore. But like starving them, which is perfect. And secondly, by doing that, we become so strong. We create our own reality. We can pretty much just, no one can touch us in a way. We are too strong. We are too powerful. I also like to take a look at timelines. And this is more of how I view things. There was also a question about, hey, you've talked about different timelines. In one timeline, Mr. T was actually a blackhead. In another timeline, we were already blown up. I believe Jean Deco talked about like 8 timelines and we were leaving behind a few timelines. What I can tell is that you pretty much decide yourself through your consciousness which timeline you pick. Because we are very powerful, whether we want to know it or not, whether we are conscious or not, we are creating. That's why the blackheads have been programming us, because they wanted a certain way of living. So we keep manifesting that, because that's the way we think. That's why if you control someone's way of thinking, you pretty much control their reality. So I'd like to see it as, for instance, I live in a very small city, and a few years ago I had a lot of contact with someone she lives like 2-3 streets away from me, and we were just good friends. And it ended, we had a fight, doesn't matter, but usually I would see her a lot because we were in contact and, go for a cup of coffee or something like that. And after that, I didn't see her at all. It's like she almost disappeared from my energy. And that's how you can view things. It's all about energy. So you decide which timeline or which reality you want to create, and you do that by focusing on what you want, cleaning up your own energy, because you can still think that you want something, but how do you say that? Your energy is really what decides what comes your way. So if you really want to see this, everything around what's going on right now, you want everything gone, but deep inside, you're still very fearful, you're very scared. You're not going to create a very bright future. So you need to handle your fears, you need to handle your frustration, you need to handle negative things and focusing on what you really want. So there are things you can do, and also enjoy life. That raises your vibration. You will create more of enjoyable things. So there are a few things you can do, but the essence is your energy. That's how you create. So you can think a lot of things like, oh, I want this, I want that, but if your energy doesn't align with it, you're not going to get it. So with a timeline, it's about what timeline you're on, and I've decided to be on this timeline. But I'm sure someone 3-4 streets down could decide a different timeline. So it's maybe not, this is how I view it. It's maybe a bit difficult to explain, but I have a feeling it has to do with energy. So you attract what you send out. And you can still, almost looks like you live in the same reality. But if you really talk to someone, they could have a completely different way of living and a completely different life than you've had. It's because their energy is completely different. There are people here that could be neighbors I've never met, I've never talked to. So it's very interesting that you could be living in the same street but have a completely different life and a completely different way of looking at things. So in a way, you have a different reality. It sounds very strange, but really, if you talk to someone and they've always experienced that they have always had money, they're fine, and you haven't had that experience, it's very strange for you that this person has all this. You're like, well, what are they doing differently? But it's a different energy, it's a different way of thinking. So they will not understand your hardships. They will not understand why you're living like that. Because to them, it's very easy. And that's really with timelines. So very important, pick the timeline you want to be in. I'm in the timeline of the white hats. And really, I'm in a timeline of the completely new era and a completely new way of living. And I'm ready for that. And that's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm feeling. And I'm cleaning house. I am cleaning house. I'm taking care of myself energetically, because that's very important. You have to clean house as well. People tend to forget that sometimes. I don't like the process either. Feeling my fears and shame and frustration and anger. It's exhausting, but I need to clean it, especially now with all the energies. We're heading to the 8th of August, which is a massive gate, I think called the Lion Gate. So we're heading towards something very powerful. And if we want to bring all these energies on Earth and really stabilize them, we have to stabilize ourselves. We really have to look inward. So that's what I'm doing. And I've picked this timeline, and I believe we can all pick the timelines. So if there's someone else who says, well, white hats don't exist, black hats have taken care of everything, look at this, see, they're taking care of everything, they've got full control, that's their timeline. Believe it or not, they're probably going to be confirmed in their timeline because that's their energy, that's their focus. That's why it's so important to make sure that you focus on the right things and make sure that you raise your vibration. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hope to see you in another video. Bye.